Yeah, that is
detail better. The story goes that they sent me up this stuff to photograph. They were over dyeing simple products. And I did a shot of a friend of mine on a bed with her feet dangling off, with the socks dangling off her feet. It was a very sexy picture. And they installed it in the lobby of where they did their first showroom. And someone stole the picture. So they thought, well, that's interesting. You know, you can make your product so appealing. And this was like the most basic, shapeless cotton sock. You can make your product so appealing that someone would want to own your image.
We lived in a loft building downtown in a section called NoHo. It was kind of the artist community. And the building, this was before people were really living in lofts a lot. And we were trying to make the building into a co-op.
Right.
So we would have these building meetings where everybody would get together and figure out how we could buy the building from our landlord. Right. And it was really through that process that Sandy and I kind of became friendly and actually kind of found our first project.
A mutual friend of ours, who was also a neighbor and continues to be a mutual friend of ours, used to tell each one of us separately, you know, you really like each other, you know, you have so much in common. We'd each look at him and say, you know, nice, he's a nice woman, but I don't know what he's talking about. And then that evening, you know, we got together and we were looking in Kathy's closet, and this shoe, which was at that time only available in Chinatown, it was what we all wore, the way women wear sneakers now. And it was like the comfortable kind of hip, inexpensive shoe. And we thought, you know, it would be so great if these came in colors. So that was our first collaboration.
Well, and luckily I had bleach, Sandy had dye. We took them to the sink, we poured some bleach on them, and miraculously the black dye came out. So we said, this is great, okay, now let's make them a color. We got some dye and we dyed them. I think they were bright blue. And by the next building meeting, we had gotten more shoes and more bleach and more dye, and we'd made a whole assortment of colors, and we had them on the floor. And all the people who came into the meeting said, God, those are great. Where'd you get them? You know, I want to get them.
I was designing jewelry, and I was desperately trying to get like Vogue magazine to use my jewelry in their editorial pages, and I had been up there many times. They were very polite, and they never used it. And I had an appointment, and we brought the shoes up. And it was like one of these like great situations where everything kind of dropped dead when we went up with the shoes. They went into Grace Marabella's office, you know. They came out, this is on a Friday, we want all these colors which we made like people cook, you know, little this, little that, eggplant, you know, mustard, these fabulous earthy colors. We want all these shoes in size 10 on Monday. So we brought them in on Monday morning, still wet, and off they went to wherever they were. And this is our first credit in Vogue magazine, and we didn't even have a company name. It just says soft shoes by Kathy and Sandy.
I remember that moment. But there are, over the years, I remember different moments. I remember other moments. I remember those socks. I remember the socks. I remember the development of that little company, you know, as it was going. And you just sort of remember that, oh, I like that. That's so good.
We'd go shopping and we'd find things in cotton and white. And whatever we found, we'd bring back and we'd throw them in the washing machine. And a couple of things that we found were these little cotton shorts. We had the shoes, we had these stockings, we had gloves, and we had this final packaging that we would package the product in and snap it all together.
So what happened is that the stockings became really popular, these white nurses stockings. So we found the mill in North Carolina that makes them, and we called them up, and we were interested in going down there to see it. And he was very interested in seeing us because he wanted to know how these, simple nurses stockings that were only available in white and nude, how these two women up north were, making them in 20 different colors and selling them to department stores, and how we were doing that.
When I first met, I wondered, now, do these girls know how rough this business is?
I think when we went down there, we fell in love. I think we fell in love with the South. We fell in love with the machinery. You watch this machine, kind of create this sock that drops out the bottom. And I think it all intrigued us, and we immediately related to it. We said, God, this is great. We immediately had a feeling for other things we could do with that equipment. So we knew that there was this fiber called cotton core spun, which was not being used in hosiery at all. And we thought, what if we would try this fabric on this yarn on a hosiery machine?
They asked me to do things, and I'd never thought about having the machine to do that. And it took me a day or two to figure out how, and they even taught me something about the machine. I'd never done that with a machine before.
What we ended up doing was making a stretch cotton tight, and we were the first people to have ever done that. We had some disasters, like when things weren't working out, like with the silk at one point. We were trying to dye it, and it wasn't working, and we were down there for 2 weeks, right?
In between, we had a weekend.
Right.
We went to see Apocalypse Now, and we felt better because it was a nightmare worse than our own. A great deal of thought and interest goes into how we accessorize or how we put this woman together on this package. We have an in-house stylist. We have a whole department, basically, a creative services department. And, primarily what they help us do, because this is our form of advertising, is on making this statement, both reflect the image of the company, reflect the kind of the image of the woman that we're trying to address, and also educate and suggest to that customer, the ways that you can wear this product without kind of restricting it too much.
One thing that we did, which was really helpful in that department, is we made this product so totally self-service. We showed the customer what it was, we let her touch it, and then, we gave her all this great information on the back. What denier is it? What does that mean? Is it opaque? Is it sheer? I think that that really helped in that department, because the hosiery department can be very overwhelming.
As the company gets bigger and it's a pretty sizable company at this point, and people ask us, well, so what are your hiring procedures, and they assume we must get people tested and interviewed by other kinds of objective professionals, and we never do. And basically, we listen to ourselves and our gut a lot.
Nobody ever says, it's not my job, or, that somebody else should do that. I mean, it's a very, team-oriented place, so that everybody has their own specific goals, but also the goals are, all kind of feed into HUE, to get out the best product, at the best price and quality and fashion right and all of that.
This is our life, socks, hosiery. I mean, this is all we think about. And we are hosiery designers. That is what we make. And we want to satisfy, as much as we can, all needs of all women at all times. I mean, if we can, satisfy, a woman's...
We tried to build that into the pantyhose, but we couldn't quite get that right.
Little face.
No, the satisfaction part.